made an exception and allowed him to send a representative. His representative is with us this evening, and I wrote his name down, which I immediately forgot. Please welcome, representing Josh Wander, Reverend C.L. Bryant.
Friends, I thank you for having me here with you here tonight, and I stand in as proxy. If someone could have a Kleenex or something, I would certainly appreciate it. I stand in as proxy for Josh Wander, who is an observant Jew, and he did in fact invite me to be here on his behalf tonight. Thank you very much. I'm from Louisiana, and our skin down that way is very good. And it's kind of bothering me tonight. I am a filmmaker, and I am also a pastor of over 34 years. The film Runaway Slave, thank you so much, is available on Amazon. Of course, you can download it on Netflix. It tells the story of people who have been enslaved and trapped in a financial system that, of course, sometimes enslaves us all. I became interested in Josh Wander about a year ago. Met him here in Pittsburgh. And I am a black Republican, conservative. I was proud to be a Tea Partier in 2009, and I'm proud to be one now, even though I know that there's a lot of negative publicity that goes along with that. Let me say this to you. There are some points that he has addressed and have issued to this black convention that I, as his proxy, do in fact want to talk about here briefly. Perpetual poverty, my friends, is something that is cyclical and it is learned. And it becomes an expected behavior. It becomes generational. And many times what you're seeing, especially in the black community, is the results of generational and perpetual poverty. 23 years ago, I was president of the NAACP in Garland, Texas. Dallas County was the largest NAACP in the entire country. Garland, my city, was the largest bedroom community of that, which meant that we had a very large NAACP. I began to break with that particular mindset after I realized that the organization not only wanted to control my agenda, they wanted to control me. And they wanted to use me to control the mindset of a group of people. Now, that type of agenda, that type of attitude in organizations like those still persist. Some of the problems and some of the reasons why you're here tonight, some of the concerns you have tonight are results of that type of activity. And so when we talk about dependency on government, now I'm not talking about government itself, I'm talking about your individual dependency on government. I am telling you that that type of behavior is not only encouraged, but that type of behavior becomes an expectation. So tonight, the question has to be to the next mayor of this city. And I'm from Louisiana. I flew up here to represent my friend. So I don't know the ins and outs of Pittsburgh politics, but I was appalled to see what type of sloth and mismanagement and corruption that goes on in this city. So my question to you first is, what are you prepared to do about it? And that's the question that you're going to have to answer. And as a preacher for over 34 years, I'm reminded of a story in John, the 5th chapter, where there was an impotent man laying by the pool of Bethesda. Jesus comes along and he sees and he asks him, how long have you been here? Man said, I've been here a long time, 38 years I've been right here. And Jesus asked him another question. He says, well, do you want to get well? And the man immediately tells him, well, I don't have anybody to help me. Well, see, his legs were the thing that was wrong with him. But over a 38-year period of time, he didn't inch his way with his arms. He didn't do anything to struggle his way toward that pool to get in himself. And I'm saying to you that that is part of the problem with the black community, not only here in Pittsburgh, but across our country. We have become so dependent on somebody helping us get in something that we don't know how to struggle to get in ourselves.
Amen, brother.
Do you want to get well? Is the problem. And that's the question. Once the man said yes, Jesus said, then get up. And that's what I'm saying to you tonight. And that is what Josh Wanda would encourage you to do. As a community, get up. Because you'll find that there are so many opportunities that are available for you that you can create yourself. One that I shared with him just the other day, I have been very successful in business. And I can tell you this, that along with other black men and Latino men across this country, in various times over the last 35 years, I have formed what was called the Top 20 Club. 20 of us would bring $3,000 every 3 months of our own money to a meeting. And we put that money on the table. At the end of the year, we'd have $240,000. What did we do with that money? We didn't have to worry that any of us were going to steal it because we were men of integrity. We were men who were able to trust each other. And we were men who understood business, and we understood what we wanted to get out of that business. So we took that $240,000 and we would find a place in the community that was depressed. And we would buy it. Or we would make promise to buy it. And we would put people to work in those places. Sometimes the old neighborhood needs to come down, but sometimes there are things that you can do yourself without any type of government intervention into your lives. And black folks, hear me, you know that I'm telling you the truth. There is too much government intervention in our lives already. All we're saying as Republicans, conservatives, but locally, it doesn't matter. Democrat or Republican. All of us drive down the same streets. We use the same public facilities. All of us are citizens of this city, and me by proxy tonight. And so when we look at reinvesting, those are one way to do it is to stimulate the business that's already there, and the people with money who's already there. And then you look at the poverty and the segregation that goes on with government contracts in this city. Under a Josh Wanda mayor, I'm telling you that he would veto any regulations that would hinder the ability of black businesses to grow and to do business. When we look at unemployment, you won't have to do one thing as far as cronyism is concerned. You won't have to know somebody in the Democrat Party. You won't have to know somebody in the Republican Party in order to get a job. But the best thing about this is that you're going to understand something here tonight. You're going to understand whether or not your vote is taken for granted. And I'm telling you that over the last 40 years in this country, black folks have been in a very unenviable position. Why? Because we have had our eggs all in one basket. And that makes us very monolithic. In other words, we can be taken for granted by one party and ignored by another party. And that's exactly what's going on. That's why we was mad 50 years ago and we're still mad tonight. Because we are following So here we are, with education. You've seen the cronyism. You've seen the corruption. You've seen the sloth. You've seen the mismanagement. And you've seen who's been in power over all those years. Education. We used to say that bad neighborhoods created bad schools. But that's a lie. Bad schools create bad neighborhoods. It's the teachers who no longer really care. And believe me, if I can read my notes, I gotta thank a teacher. But we have to face a fact. Education in this country, in this city, is going downhill. Mayor Wanda would support school choice. Now I know that's something that you have been told is something that's bad. But black folks, just like the richest white folks, need to be able to decide for themselves where their children will get an education.
No problem.
Narcotics, guns, drugs, homicide. Again, you have to point back to the dependency that you've had on politicians who make promises. You're going to hear them tonight. One thing that I like and love about Josh Wanda is that he's not a politician. And he doesn't owe anything to anyone. He'd make a very good mayor for you. We came in here tonight not expecting to win. I flew up here on his behalf not expecting to win. But I came tonight hoping that at least I'd prick your conscience and make you think about your decisions and what you are going to be doing in the future as far as your next mayor is concerned. You can take back your neighborhoods. I've seen it happen. I've seen courageous men and women limit the area that drugs are sold simply by their presence, but they were led by their pastors. They were led by the police. They decided what area they were going to target, and on a given day, at a given time, the police and the pastors and the people that lived there went down there and said, we're not taking this anymore. And believe me, when you show up and have the courage to make ownership of what is yours because your tax dollars are paying for it, you can change things. Just like that man at the pool of Bethesda. Do you want to get well? If you want to get well, then you need to get out. You need to do something about it. Where's the black family? Black family has disintegrated. Even during slavery itself, more black people, more black children were born to two parents than they are now. Amen. Before the policies of the Great Society, the black marriage rate was higher at some points in time than the white marriage rate. What has happened to the black family? I'll tell you. We have been led down a primrose path by those who call themselves our community leaders, who do nothing more than fleece the people that they're supposed to be leading while making themselves fat, and you continue to be angry. That's the problem here today. Police chiefs need to go into these communities. If you without a police chief, the next one you need to make sure that he knows you. You need to get to know him. You need to get to know Officer Timpson and all them that come into your community. They need to know you. You need to be vocal. Community and economic development of Mayor Wanda would not belong to anybody. He, like I am, is a free man. My grandfather told me one thing that always stuck. He couldn't read his name if you wrote on the back of the wall, but I have 2 degrees. But he told me this. When I was very Afrocentric with a huge afro, he put his rough-hewn pulpwood cutting hands and finger in my face, and he said, Sonny, I didn't go through everything I went through so you could be black. I went through everything I went through so you could be free. Free to go where I never got to go. free to say the things that I never get to say, and to associate with whoever you want to associate with. And if that costs you something, then pay the price. Black folks, it's time to pay the price. Stop letting government do it for you. We're the only group of people in this country that vote 95% for one particular party. That's not intelligent. It's time for us to diversify. Stop putting all of our eggs in one basket. And my time is up. Josh Wander is a new breed.
Thank you again for those of you who arrived after we started. We agreed on some rules that we were going to use for the speakers this evening, and one of them is no reaction, except by voting tomorrow. No booing, no cheering, no reactions, if you don't mind. We agree? Is that agreeable? All right. Thank you. Thank you, brother, for coming to Pittsburgh and representing Josh Wander. First question is, I'm sure no one at the Jewish synagogue gets parking tickets on their Sabbath. I am a member of Mount Ararat Baptist Church. Do you think Josh Wander will stop our parishioners from getting parking tickets on Sunday morning during our religious services?
You know, Josh is a very fair person, and I'm sure if, in fact, his people are not getting tickets on their Sabbath, I'm sure a mayor would be able to make certain that on your day of worship, you would have the same consideration. I'm certain that he would take that consideration.
Thank you. Second question, what would you do as mayor to increase safety and improve the quality of life for black, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer Pittsburgh?
Americans, everyone. And violence against anyone of that gender or so-called gender or sex or sex orientation. This is America. Regardless of what your opinion is, everyone is equal under the law.
Thank you. What leadership would Josh bring as mayor to address the culture of violence against black women and girls?
First of all, the violence against black women, and Josh and I have talked about this, is being perpetrated upon them. First, because they, in many cases, have lost respect for themselves. Hear me. Babies just don't happen. There takes the man and the woman. And I am telling you that I have 3 daughters. I am telling you that women are going to have, young girls are going to have more respect for themselves than to accept being called B's and W's. That has to happen first. And one of the things that we have failed on is that we are raising young men who do not respect young men. And we are raising young men who are the nightmares of so many young women. Now that's hard, but it's true. You know I'm right about that.
Thank you. Final question. What does Josh Wander plan to do to address disparities in housing, education, and employment? Please be specific.
I wish Josh could be here for you to answer that question specifically for you. But I can tell you this. There are so many times when the gatekeepers and the overseers, the ones who, unlike in slave times, got you out to the cotton fields to pick cotton, there are so many now who every 2 years they come around to get you out to the voting booth to pick your votes. And they lie to you about what they're going to do with money that they get, these block grants. You never see them. Have you ever wondered why? You know why. And so what Josh Wander would do is make sure that that money that's earmarked for the community gets to the community, because you know as well as I do, so much money that has been earmarked to go to the community winds up, you know. And so, as a person who is not a politician, someone who is not owned by anybody, I simply say to you, it is time to at least try something different.
Thank you.